yeah, if you can stop sharing the screen, man, and then
There you go. Let's see if it works. So second screen. Can you guys see the PowerPoint presentation?
of course, yeah, looking good.
And
of course, you are slightly different to Mads, though, right? So let's see where
yeah, just slightly different. Yeah. So I'll just do the full screen. You should be able to see the full screen, correct?
Yeah, and your 5 minutes starts now.
All right, great. So good afternoon. My name is José Simões, and I'm one of the co-founders of DeCarbon8 So did you know that in the European Union soils, just in the first 30 centimeters of soil, there are 75 billion tons of carbon sequestered? Currently, the EU caps the amount of carbon emitted by a specific industry, and it distributes this amount in the form of carbon credits that can be traded in between the different players of that industry. However, while farming is the biggest retainer of carbon in the world, farmers don't have an easy access to these markets, and this is where DeCarbon8 steps in. DeCarbon8 is a platform that allows the trading of carbon credits generated by farmers from a specific municipality, and we also provide a variety of services ranging from relevant educational material to consultancy and smart farming tools. And furthermore, we also provide several farmer and municipality partnerships. Thus, with all these benefits in mind, we bring a lot of advantages to the different players in our ecosystem. The farmers develop a new source of income while increasing soil health and productivity. The municipalities become greener, which in turn leads to more people and investment towards them. And the industries can neutralize their carbon emissions by buying these carbon credits. We provide two primary sources of service: a carbon credit market where you as a farmer or a carbon credit sequester can place your carbon credits and sell them in our market, where we take a 5% fee and you take a 95% value of the money sold. And we also provide several farmer municipalities, farmer partnerships that generate an average for 480 euros per year per farmer. In addition to this, we also provide 3 complementary sources of revenue. As for the competition, we can see we are the ones with the most key partners and diversification of services provided, with special relevance to the different partnerships that we would develop with the municipalities and the farmers, and as well as the satellite technology that we use to measure the carbon sequestration. As for the team, we are a team of 8 entrepreneurs with backgrounds ranging from soil sciences to business management. However, we all share the same passion for sustainable agricultural practices. Our goal is to reach 1% of the total market share in Portugal by 2024 and 10% by 2027, establishing ourselves as the #1 voluntary carbon credit market in the south of Europe, sequestering in total 390,000 tons of carbon. Currently, we are at the TRL 4 level with a developed prototype and working on the development of the final platform so that we can then enter the Portuguese market with around 40 to 50 municipalities partnered and 400 to 500 farmers partnered, so that we can then make an international expansion starting with Spain. The surge of the carbon credit markets is inevitable, and we at DeCarbon8 want to be 3 steps ahead of the present. We are currently looking for partners that share the same objective of increasing our wallet of clients, either being farmers or potential carbon credit buyers, so that together we can develop a more sustainable agriculture in a more sustainable planet. Thank you very much.
Look at that. You're a timekeeping dream, aren't you, my man? That's amazing. Okay, so a little bit of time back on everything. Matt, what questions do you want to ask?
Yeah, that was really interesting. Thanks. I think from my point of view, from a technology point of view, it'd be really interesting to just hear a bit more about the MVP that you're building, and maybe a bit more detail about how you're using that to interact with the carbon credit marketplace, or how that technology connection or interface works.
Yeah, definitely. So I can even show you some pictures of MVP. So this is the first thing you interact with the website. You get a small description. And in this case, we have 4 municipalities in Portugal, which we're already speaking with in regards to practicing these markets in those municipalities. And then you get access to your area. So this is going to be your personal area, and how the market works is as if it is like a carbon credit stock market. So you can see here all the carbon credits you sold. How it works is very simple. You send us a certificate of a carbon credit project, and then we certify that it is exactly tons of carbon that you say it is. So we don't promote greenwashing. So we certify that that certification is proper, it's everything well done. And so that is effectively, like, say, 5 tons of carbon. Then we allow you to put those tons of carbon into our market, and you can manage those assets as you want to. On this personal area, you can see your trade volume in terms of money and in terms of volume in terms of carbon credits sold, and you can see your average price and your average offer volume. You can also see in this page is the volume you're selling. So like in this example, you're selling 90 tons of carbon, but you can define the price per ton, and you can also define the minimum and the maximum order, which means that you can define how much someone can buy from those 90 tons. So let's say you can define it that minimum amount of those 90 tons is you need to buy in minimum 10 tons, and maximum you can buy 20 tons, which doesn't allow someone to buy all those credits just straight away, just like that, and ruins the market effectively. You can see here is an example. So you're selling, for example, 3 tons of carbon. This is the price you're selling them for. This is the tax that we take, so the 5% of that, the 4% of that value. This is the tax depending on the country that you're working with, which in Portugal is 23%. And this is the overall value that you're going to be placing them in the market at. And this is the example of the market itself. So one benefit that we can see here is that we can use different commodities. So this is very interesting in the fact that if, let's say, for example, the European Commission wants to do, for example, a methane market, we can also integrate it into our market, because it's just as simple as integrating a new commodity into the market. So we're going to start with carbon credit markets. And so if the situation progresses, and let's say they start a methane market, we can actually integrate this market into our market, and then we become not only a carbon credit market, but for example, methane credit market, for example.
Great. It's like, here's one I prepared earlier. Great to have the screens all ready to go. From an MVP point of view, what would you say is your biggest technical challenge as part of the MVP?
So currently we're working, the MVP isn't live yet because we're just doing some documents with Google, because for the MVP, we're using an integrated system with Google where you can enter the website with your Gmail. And so we're just filing some documents with them. It should be done in 2 weeks, give or take. Then we can launch it live. The technicality part of it is just the sheer amount of credits that you're going to be doing. We also want to implement an automatic paying system, so we don't have to intermediate the whole thing. And so technically speaking, that would be one of the most difficult parts of that, pretty much. And then going international, we will also need a bigger structure to go internationally, because the amount of credits you can make internationally, it's much bigger.
And would you say that that's going to be a seamless transition from MVP into a full build that can handle that scale, or is the MVP really there to validate the assumptions that you have around the marketplace at the moment, and you'll look to re-platform when you have to achieve that scale?
Yeah, so we currently want to start working with Portugal. And then working solely with Portugal, we think it's going to be seamless. It's not going to be that much of a big challenge, because in Portugal, you have the average farming land is between 50 acres. So it's not that much farming land. So in terms of carbon credits, you're not going to need as much of a technical structure, because we also don't work with blockchain. We just work with carbon farming projects. So it's the database needs to be lower. And so in terms of Portugal, we think it's going to be seamless. However, when we're going international, because we want to do, for example, we're going to do Spain, we're going to do Italy, we're going to do Greece, then we think we're going to be a little bit of a bigger database, because again, the values are going to be bigger in terms of the amount of things that we have to use on the website and the amount of payments. So it's going to be a little bit more trickier. But in terms of Portugal, we think it's not going to be that big of an issue, technically speaking, to develop the MVP to the final platform.
Okay, great. Thank you. Really interesting.
Thank you
for that. Well, let's open up to some of the others. So Neil, what do you reckon of this one? You've probably seen a few carbon credit stuff in Cornwall, right? So how does this compare?
Stuff down the back of the sofa. Yeah, no, I think what you've got tech-wise looks very strong. I'm loving what you're doing, trying to contribute, make this thing better, make the world better, make it easier for the farmers to do what farmers need to do, which is, yeah. My only worry is not entirely certain. I've heard some suggestions that carbon credits might not be delivering what they were designed to do, i.e. cap carbon generating activity. So I'm just wondering, yeah, whether there's other things further down the line that you might need to cope with. I suspect the market model that you're hooking into and you're there to make work, there will be a market model, but whether it's exactly carbon credits, I don't know. I don't know very much about it. It's only what I'm hearing that.
Yeah, so if I may, to combat the greenwashing, we only accept projects that are certified, and the certification comes from the Portuguese government in this case. So the Portuguese government certifies your project, then we can put it into the market because it is certified by the Portuguese government that it is effectively a ton of carbon that is sequestered. In terms of the market itself, the market model, we're not only enabling the farmers that work with us to place their credits there, but also other carbon sequestering companies to place their carbon credits there. Because at the moment, let's say you're a big company like BP, you want to buy carbon credits to neutralize your emissions. You have to go, for example, to 5 different companies. You have to negotiate 5 different prices, and it's a lot of work for something that can be simplified in just one simple market. And so that's why we take such a small fee, because we don't want to. It's more of a commodity. It's like selling houses. You're not selling your house one by one to each client. You put it on a market, and then the market does the work for you. You don't have to do it. You pay commission for it, but it simplifies your life, and it's much more simpler in terms of carbon credits. Because currently you have to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different companies. You have to negotiate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different prices, and then you have to select the best price out of those, and then it takes way too long. In my opinion, when you can make a standard market, it's not. Doesn't
no, it looks very strong what you've got. So yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
So, Stu, I had a question for Jose.
Go ahead, AJ. Sorry, I got distracted there for a moment.
So Jose, the concept of decarbonizing, right? So that itself, many might not be aware unless government puts out rules and regulations, like in UK, like 2035, all vehicles need to comply and all of that. So how are you creating other than these newsletters and the social media? Because when I checked out the DeCarbon8 social media accounts, looks like you have been there for close to 4 years now, but then the numbers are a little less.
No, we're relatively new, so we're just about 1 year old on July or June, I think. So relatively not 4 years. We're currently working with the municipalities, and so the municipalities also promote that decarbonization. And the Portuguese government wants to be carbon neutral by 2045, so they're also pushing to get this carbon neutrality into the mix as well. But it's definitely our social media presence and our online presence is something we definitely want to start working on a bit more, so that we can start making a big impact. But it's definitely something in Portugal. There's been a big rise of companies working with carbon credits with farmers specifically because of that, because it's starting to be a big business, especially in the forestry systems, because we have a lot of eucalyptus production, and the eucalyptus sequester a lot of carbon really fast. So it's really interesting in terms of carbon sequestration. I don't know if that answers the question, or
it does. Thank you. And other than farmers, is there any other sector that you are working closely with? I know municipalities and the government, yes, but anyone else who you see as the a major share to your business as a user?
Definitely forestry producers, because forests sequester considerably more carbon than farms. And in the future, if we can, we wanted to attack the sea sector. So you can probably use algae to sequester carbon as well. So that can be also a way to sequester carbon. That's in the future, not currently. So currently it's more municipalities, farmers, and forestry sectors. But in the near future, we would be interested in working with the sea sector to sequester carbon as well, because it seems very interesting when you use algae to sequester carbon.
Sure, all the best. And yeah, the vehicle manufacturers also could partner with you. I'm not sure they are.
And working with, for example, companies. So let's say if you're a rice producer, you can put all your rice providers into our platform, then you share the revenue with rice providers, for example. So there's a ton of ways you can put different companies related to the agri sector into the platform working with us. So yeah.
See, now you've said rice producers, it makes me think about the Rice Museum, and now I want to go back to like Troya and all the way down that coast and go and see that. So anyway, all right, thank you very much for that. Round of applause.